Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today I'm going to let you know everything that we have to look forward to for the upcoming 1.25 update. And the first and the main feature is the new achievement system, which is going to be enhancing your World of Tanks experience. Whoa, big news. So what exactly is the new achievement system? Well, firstly, there must be a bit of a bug on the test server because my Wargaming rating has dropped down by like 3 or 4,000. But hopefully that's not going to be the case for all of you. If it is, well, I got some work to do to work my way back up to Legend 3. But here is the player's collection screen. In it, you have an overall achievement score with a Mark tank on top, right? The original vehicle from World War I. Although that's up for debate, thinking about how far tanks go and what actually constitutes a tank. So my main account seems to have kind of completed the game already, so not too much to work for, but I don't know, maybe Wargaming are going to make adjustments and I won't have 100% across the board. But my current achievement score is 7,720. This is like a trophy score, and it makes an interesting noise. Oh, when you click it, great. Yeah, you can hear that reverberating dum, right? So it's basically like a gamer score that you would have on PlayStation or Xbox, and it breaks down how you have exactly got all of these points. So firstly, it looks like there are 630 points up for grabs from having vehicles, although there might be more if you've got vehicles that I don't have. There are 11 stages of collecting vehicles inside the game that range from having one vehicle at level 1 all the way up to step 11, where you have 450 vehicles. Man, that makes me feel like a little bit of a sweat lord when I go back to my garage and I see that on this account I have 774 vehicles. So whether Wargaming are going to be adding in more stages, because I got over 300 vehicles more than the 450 cap currently. One thing that's interesting is you do actually get points for collecting some of the rarer vehicles in the game, such as the Excalibur, the Chimera, and the Object 279E early, which will be giving 10 achievement points. So I guess for all of you out there who were close but never really got some of the final rewards for the personal missions, and there is more incentive there if you care about the digital numbers inside your garage. By far the mainstay of the points, 6,860, comes from the Nations tab, and through these Nations tab, you're going to have to research all of the different vehicles for all of the different nations. And interestingly, the amount of points that you get is massive compared to what you would get in the Vehicles tab. On top of this, there is customization, with Wargaming encouraging you to collect 3D styles, for which the cap is 40. I'm not sure if I can go above that. Or for 2D styles, up to over 100 2D styles. Is that really how many we have in the game? So all the more reason to do events or to get onto Twitch and to collect some of those awesome styles that streamers get to give away, usually monthly. The final tab, which I'm kind of blocking over there, is a trophies section. Now, when I click this, it comes up with pretty much the rarest tanks in the game. Owner of the Type 59 Gold, owner of the Lion, the 452K, the Kampfpanzer, the 780, all of the reward vehicles. Then all of the vehicles that you get for service in World of Tanks for just playing it a lot, like the Panzer IV Ausführung F2, all the way down to the original one, the VK2801. There's even a trophy for owning Patton the Tank, although I feel like Patton the Tank usually makes a trophy out of you. And some of the most ridiculous ones are, there are trophies for having the Panzer IIJ and the BTSV, which are two of the most filthy seal clubbers in the game. Now, that for me suggests Wargaming really want you to usually pony up the $100 worth of gold that you have to purchase to be able to get those vehicles. And just how far will Wargaming go with this trophy system? Now, interestingly enough, these trophies don't actually give points, so they're not mandatory, I guess, for your achievement score, but it's definitely something that a lot of people are going to feel a little bit more pressure on if you want to become the ultimate collector of World of Tanks. So what are the rewards for completing these collections? Well, you get access to an animated dog tag. If you complete step 5 of the total vehicle count achievement, you become a tank master, and your dog tag is going to have some shimmery bits coming off it. Then if you get step 8, you become the Chief of Armor. Armor spelt without the U. For goodness sake, America. And then if you manage to complete stage 11 or step 11, you become the Supreme Commander. Vehicle count 782. That's disgusting. So Yeah, so you're basically going to be able to show everyone how much of a whale you are, and how much you've spent on World of Tanks, I guess, if that really matters to you. Personally, for me, I had the dog tag system turned off pretty much from the get-go. There's nothing more annoying than getting fragged than having it pop up with some kind of in-your-face reminder of who just took you out. So all in all, I guess enhancing your World of Tanks experience really constitutes to World of Tanks turning into Pokemon, and you gotta catch them all. It's just in this case, you gotta pay for them all. Next up, a little bit of an interesting one. Wargaming are enabling everybody who's been playing Onslaught to try out the Hurricane on the test server. However, no matter how much I try, and even having waited for the day afterwards, maybe I'm stupid, but I can't find a way to be able to get the annual rewards. As they say, they're going to be delivered soon. Please stand by. So Wargaming, with all due respect, when you tell people that you can go on the test server to try out the Hurricane, please enable it. And if it is enabled, but I can't figure out how to be able to claim it, then I think some explanation is in order. However, you can take a look at the Hurricane inside the garage, and yeah, it looks fancy. The light probably will glow more. Not sure inside battle. It's got the Pegasus on the back, and it looks like a pretty cool style, but again, just doesn't really look like it has a place inside World of Tanks. One thing that'll be interesting about the Hurricane is, will we be able to use the Hurricane inside the Onslaught mode? I mean, if it's a carbon copy of the CS63, you'd hope that you get to use the Hurricane. And if it's not enabled in Onslaught, I think that Wargaming should enable it. Well, that's if Onslaught will be coming back next year. Not sure how successful this game mode has been, although I'm sure Wargaming will be jumping to say, oh, it's the best, most competitive version of World of Tanks yet. Well, maybe the most efficient way to make a lot of players seemingly very angry. The next part of the common test is that Frontline and Beyond. Return of the well-known game mode. There is so much wrong with this. Is that really how little effort Wargaming have to put in with content now? Frontline, return of the well-known game mode. Is that it? Is that World of Tanks' content is now so well known that it's own self-fulfilling content inside the game? Oh well, at least the player base is going to say, show me the credits. Now that supposedly would be it, but if we take a look at the patch notes, there are a few things that we can go and take a good look at. Firstly, Arcade Cabinet looks like it's going to be coming back for Darkness of the Night. Oh, goodness gracious. Where's that funky game mode that we saw where it makes World of Tanks look like Fall Guys? I was hoping that would be coming, considering that 1.25 would be such a big update. In addition to this, they've added a following super test vehicle, the VZ-58 Medved, which I guess means bear in Russian, but also probably in Czech. So this vehicle actually looks really interesting. Let's take a look at it just visually. For now, weird-shaped hull with the driver's hatch sticking up. That should be a weak point on the front of the vehicle. Yeah, horrible weak point there that will catch a lot of shots. Awful weak point on top. But what's crazy about this tank is it has a 122mm with a 4-round magazine with a long intra-clip reload, which is thoroughly not Czech heavy tank. Nevertheless, that means that this vehicle is going to deal 1,760 damage, although it's going to take 11 seconds to be able to do that damage. So I guess what Wargaming are trying to do is to take a Skoda T56, jump it up to tier 9 with a similar kind of intra-clip reload, but shave off alpha, not give it the best damage per minute, but boy, is that going to be so annoying to play against. Imagine 1,760 damage in 11 seconds with very decent pen. 325 gold pen at tier 9. It's going to be really hard to stop that thing just crunching into you. Add to that a good power to weight ratio, a decent top speed, which gets even better with the field mods. This thing can drive around at like 45 kilometers an hour with a turbo and just dump your entire tank with great gold pen. This is looking like it could be a very frustrating vehicle to play against, and I do expect we'll probably be seeing it coming to loot boxes near you at least fairly soon. In addition to this, Wargaming are adding in a vehicle called the Char de Transition. This vehicle is identical to an ARL, although it does have a very interesting camo loadout, as if it's going to have a 3D or at least a 2D style. This vehicle, as I said, it's identical to an ARL, so it looks like it's just going to be a premium version of an ARL. But interestingly enough, Wargaming have decided to change the turret armor of the ARL 44, and this isn't just the premium version. They're changing the armor of the non-premium version from 40 to 30 millimeters with armor around spare track fixings reduced. So I guess that's going to be on the side of the turret. Previously it was 40, now it's going to be 30. Okay, weird one. Next up, Wargaming are adding in the Crusher. Now this thing looks like an absolute freak. Look at this thing. What the blazes? Yeah, this is about as weird as it gets for the UK. This is looking like it could be one of the most bizarre tanks inside the game. If we look up like the armor model, what's really crazy about this vehicle is the tracks just extend way out over the hull, and then you can see how the hull like slinkies in here, meaning that you could just drive around the corner and you're pretty much going to be untrackable. You could also use the tracks to cover the lower plate on this vehicle. You can have 300 millimeters of all-round armor. Yeah, good luck tier 6 and tier 7 tanks shooting up high here. Add to that, this vehicle has great damage per minute, good alpha damage. It kind of looks a lot like a Carnarvon within that regard, but boy is this thing slow. 24 kilometers an hour top, decent health, decent view range. This thing looks like it could be a lot of fun. Again, coming to a premium loot box probably soon for you. In addition, Wargaming adding in a Churchill Crocodile. Now, everyone knows the Churchill Crocodile has a flamethrower, although there's going to be no flamethrower on this vehicle inside the game. The Crocodile, it's just a carbon copy of the Churchill VII, although its gun caliber is 75 rather than 76. That means that it won't be able to overmatch 25mm plates, but that's about it. Now, one thing that's really interesting is that Wargaming are having to nerf the Churchill VII a lot like what they did with the ARL, I guess, to be able to make this thing work as a premium. It took me a little while to figure it out, but I can show you right on the side here. Now, the eagle-eyed of you see the color difference? This is 115 and 95. This is the previous version of the tank, and this is the new version of the tank. It's even more obvious if I put it onto the live section here, and then I move it onto the live section here. So you can see literally on the side of this vehicle from there and there that they've just removed the extra armor that you had from the track links. So I really don't know what to say about this. You know, there are probably about 50 different vehicles which need nerfing in World of Tanks. The Churchill VII is not one of them. The Churchill VII is probably the most innocent tier 6. I don't think anyone in a whole survey of the entire player base would say that the Churchill VII needed a nerf. But at least according to Wargaming, it does. I guess they don't like track links having extra armor. What's next? Will they basically take the STRV 1030 and do the same thing to that? Everyone knows on the STRV 1030, some of the best aspects of the tank are the fact that these track links are 60, so they sometimes pull off miracle bounces against even 121mm caliber guns. Is that next on Wargaming's chopping board? You know what? Realistically, what I think Wargaming are doing here is they're making a change because they want to put in a tier 6 premium tank, aka the Churchill Crocodile, and they don't want to have to bother to give it a unique armor layout. And to all intents and purposes, maybe the Crocodile doesn't visually have the track links, and so it wouldn't make sense. And so Wargaming are effectively nerfing a perfectly balanced tier 6 British heavy tank because they want to turn it into a premium vehicle and not have to give it another armor model. Oh, goodness gracious, Wargaming. I mean, that's pushing it even for you. And the fact that Wargaming would try to sweep this all under the rug by putting it in the extra section of the patch. Yeah, well, at least they are actually mentioning this in the patch notes, and we don't have to try and find these weird things ourselves. The final vehicle that we find here is the M4A3 Sherman. And if we zoom in on this, again, it looks like a Sherman with a fancy paint job. This vehicle, it looks identical to the EZ8, and it's going to be a premium tank at tier 6, but Wargaming didn't have to nerf the EZ8 to be able to get this one into the game. So interestingly enough, why would they be adding in tier 6 premium versions of these 3 tier 6 tech tree tanks? And I think the obvious answer has to be that usually Wargaming release patches about 3 to 4 weeks before the content is going to be released. And in 3 to 4 weeks, it's going to be the 5th of June, and that is when the Battle Pass ends. Considering that the Battle Pass is ending, they're going to have to add in a patch, so I'm 90% sure that the patch day for the EU server will be the 5th of June, and probably for America will be the 4th of June. And what is that close to? It's very close to D-Day. Maybe they're going to be doing some kind of like D-Day loot boxes or something, and they're going to be having tier 6 premiums inside the D-Day loot boxes. Maybe they'll be even adding in a Crusher into some D-Day loot boxes as well. Although I kind of have to admit, I really hope I'm wrong that A, we're not going to be getting loot boxes literally a month after we just had them with the Mars game mode. And secondly, I really hope that Wargaming aren't going to be monetizing the anniversary of the invasion that ended the war in Europe and just defeated fascism through selling us pixels inside of a video game, but we're just gonna have to wait and see. Anyway, ladies and gents, boys and girls, that was update 1.25. A little bit scant on the old content coming up for it, which is bizarre considering it's such a big number, right? But we just had a really big content patch in 1.24.1. Why is it that Wargaming always do that? The 1.xx patches are quite small on content, and the 1.xx.1 patches seem to be so large. Well, maybe this means that we've got something to look forward to with 1.25.1, if that's going to be the case. Anyway, really hope you enjoyed this video today. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And let me know in the comments down below, do you think that we're going to be getting these tier 6 premium tanks in some kind of like D-Day loot boxes? And what do you think about the achievement system? Do you think it's really going to enhance your World of Tanks experience? And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.